Have you ever felt like life is slipping through your fingers? Time rushes by. Your mind is restless. Expectations, comparisons, responsibilities, tangled together like invisible strings, pulling you away from yourself. You keep trying, yet it never feels like enough. You're exhausted, but still, you don't stop. In this noisy world, no one teaches you how to return. But the Stoic sages left behind signs, thoughts that are quiet, yet powerful enough to stir your soul. In this video, you won't just hear philosophy. You'll begin a journey back to yourself. And perhaps, just one thought at the right moment could open a whole new path within you. Take a deep breath and begin right here. Time, the hourglass of the inner self. There's something strange that few people notice. We worry because we feel like we don't have enough time. But in truth, that very worry is what eats away at our time every single day. Take a moment, close your eyes, and ask yourself, how much of today have I given to myself? How much of it has been consumed by expectations, comparisons, and the noise of the outside world? Stoic philosophy doesn't promise you a life without turmoil. Instead, it teaches you how to remain calm in the storm by realizing this one truth. You cannot control the world, but you can always control how you respond to it. Every minute you spend judging others, blaming yourself, or obsessing over what's beyond your control is a minute you lose your inner freedom. And more frighteningly, a minute in which you lose yourself. Stoicism teaches that time is our most precious asset, and yet, it is the easiest thing to steal, stolen silently by invisible anxieties. Ask yourself, am I truly living, or just reacting? Am I mastering time, or just a victim of emotions and circumstances? Here's the truth. You can begin again. You don't need to wait until tomorrow. You don't need to change everything. You just need to start. With one single decision, not to let time slip by meaninglessly anymore. From this moment on, each time you choose silence over anger, each time you pause to breathe instead of rushing through life, you are taking steady, quiet steps toward true inner freedom. Stop wasting time. Don't live someone else's life. Your time is yours alone. Live for what matters most, yourself. Marcus Aurelius, The Quiet Trap Called Comparison, and How to Escape It. Have you ever opened your phone just for a quick scroll, only to find yourself drowning in the feeling of not being enough, not attractive enough, not successful enough, not happy enough, all triggered by a photo, a status update, or a fleeting moment from someone else's life? Comparison never knocks. It creeps in quietly, but its damage is ruthless. And the most dangerous part? It steals your peace before you even notice. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Don't waste time arguing about what a good person should be. Be one." Comparison traps you in an invisible race, one with no clear finish line, because every person is different. Every journey has its own rhythm. You cannot use someone else's map to find the way out of your own mind. Picture someone walking through the forest. He keeps looking at another path where someone else is walking faster, taking longer strides. And so, he stumbles on his own path. Not because the road was difficult, but because his eyes weren't looking ahead. Comparison is the shadow of insecurity, but acceptance is the light of inner strength. Want to master your emotions? Want to be free from anxiety and pressure? Start by pulling your gaze inward. What emotion is rising? What thought is guiding me right now? What values do I truly believe in? Each time you resist comparing, you return to yourself. And there, where stillness begins, that's where true inner freedom starts to grow. Instead of asking, "Am I as good as them?" ask, "Am I being true to myself today?" Remember, the Stoic does not race, they lay foundations. They don't compete, they understand. And they don't need to prove anything to the world, because their presence is already enough. Are you ready for the next part, where we uncover why the pursuit of perfection is silently holding your life back? The myth called perfection, and the price you silently pay. Have you ever asked yourself, why do I always feel like I'm not good enough, even when I've given my best? Maybe it's not because you haven't done enough, but because you're chasing something that doesn't exist. Perfection. It sounds noble, but in reality, it's a golden cage built from anxiety. It doesn't just make you afraid to fail, it makes you afraid to live. Don't let perfection stop you from starting. Marcus Aurelius never said this directly, but the spirit of that idea flows through every page of Meditations. In Stoicism, we are not encouraged to be perfect. We are encouraged to be consistent with our process. You may stumble, you may get angry, you may feel tired, but the one thing you can always choose is to rise, to reflect, and to continue. Picture a sculptor carving a statue. If he keeps destroying it every time something looks imperfect, will it ever be completed? No. But if he embraces every small chip as part of the process, then over time, art will emerge from the imperfection. The problem with perfection is that it has no finish line. You may achieve something great today, but soon you'll ask, why am I still not like them? Why hasn't anyone acknowledged me? Why do I still feel empty? And so, you keep running. But the more you run, the further you drift from yourself. Take a deep breath. You have the right to slow down. You have the right to make mistakes. You have the right to take small steps, as long as they're true to you. Inner freedom doesn't lie in how much you achieve. It lies in whether you can accept yourself along the way, imperfect, but still growing. Try this tomorrow. Instead of asking, was I perfect today? Ask, was I kind to myself today? And if the answer is yes, then you've gone further than anyone chasing a shadow called perfection. The invisible enemy, distraction, and the journey back to yourself. Imagine your mind as a room. At first, it's empty, still, peaceful. You can hear your heartbeat. You feel light touching every corner. But then, little by little, the room starts to fill. Notification sounds from social media, irrelevant phone calls, comments from strangers, vague worries about a day that hasn't come yet. All of it pulls you further away from yourself, and you no longer hear anything except the noise. Distraction is not always loud, but it's always persistent. It is a thief of life. It doesn't take your time violently. It takes it drop by drop, minute by minute, like a leak from the soul's jar, until you're drained without knowing why. If you cannot control your attention, you cannot control your life. A powerful lesson from Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Don't let your mind be carried away by things outside. Return inward. Your soul can become the most peaceful place of refuge. But how do you return when your mind feels like a rush hour city?" The answer: mindfulness and mental discipline. Mindfulness is not a trendy lifestyle. It is an attitude. It is the awareness that says, I am here. I am breathing. I don't need to react to everything. When you sit down, no phone, no music, no stimulus, and simply listen to your inner voice, you begin to restore that inner room. You clean the corners, open the windows, let the true light in. Then you start to hear a voice long buried. I'm alive. I'm choosing. I don't have to chase anyone. But that stillness won't come without discipline. Discipline is not forcing yourself to be tough. It is a quiet vow. I will no longer let meaningless things drain my life energy. Like a stoic warrior entering the battlefield of the mind, not to defeat others, but to protect oneself from being scattered, swept away, or forgotten. Start with something small. Turn off notifications for 2 hours a day. Spend 10 slow minutes each morning, just breathing and feeling your heartbeat. Write down one thing you'll focus on today. You'll discover something magical. The energy you thought was gone was never gone, just scattered. And when you gather it back, you'll be amazed at the strength you already hold. Inner freedom is not a destination. It is the act of cleaning your mental space every day, of choosing what's allowed in, of guarding the sacred space where you can breathe, think, and live as your truest self. That is where the world can no longer drag you. That is where you become your own guide. Reconnecting with yourself when the world keeps pulling you away. Let's be honest. When you're sad, anxious, or lost, who do you turn to first? You look for advice online. You ask friends or family. You scroll for inspiration on social media. But have you ever stopped and asked, have I ever sat down and asked myself? We forget who we are because we spend so little time with ourselves. In the noise of expectations, responsibilities, and demands from the world, we lose the most sacred connection, the one between you and your own inner self. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, people flee to the countryside, the beach, the mountains. But real happiness is when you can retreat into yourself. So how do you return when you've been gone too long? Start by listening, not to others, but to the tiny, neglected sounds inside you. The sigh when you force yourself to do something you don't want to. The silence of your heart when you live to please others. The soft whisper, what did I once dream of? Reconnecting with yourself isn't grand or dramatic. It is a quiet, courageous act. It's daring to sit in silence with unnamed fears, to face wounds that haven't healed, to look into emptiness without rushing to fill it. That's when you realize you don't need to be perfect to be loved. You don't need to overperform to be accepted. You just need to be present as you are. How do you start again with yourself, right? Just a little each day, not to impress, just to be honest. Write about what hurts you, what you're grateful for, what you fear, and what you long for. Be silent. 10 minutes a day. No music, no screens, no one. Just you, breathing with yourself. Ask yourself one question every night. Did I live according to my values today? This question, over time, becomes a compass, and it will lead you back to your truest self. And when that connection is restored, you'll realize something beautiful. You no longer have to go searching for inner freedom. It was always here, in silence, in breath, in the way you quietly look at life with depth. You're no longer driven by noise, no longer ruled by others' opinions. And anxiety fades because now you know who's steering the wheel. The journey back to yourself is the bravest path of all. And on that path, you will discover your greatest treasure, freedom, the kind that comes from within. Emotional discipline, the secret to calm in the storm. There's a storm that doesn't come from the sky. No thunder, no wind. It starts deep inside, when someone hurts you, when plans fall apart, when a careless word cracks your heart. That storm is called emotion. Have you ever been swept away by your emotions? 1 minute, you're calm. 1 word, and you're on fire. 1 glance, and you feel small. 1 failure, and you drown in shame. Then, you say something you regret. You do something even you can't explain. You wish you could undo it, but it's too late. Emotional mastery does not mean you stop feeling. It means you stop letting feelings drive your life. A Stoic is not emotionless. They feel deeply, but they don't react blindly. They know nothing is more dangerous than an undisciplined mind. Epictetus once said, "It's not events that cause us suffering, but our interpretation of those events." So how do you develop emotional discipline? 1. Recognize instead of reacting. Emotions are waves. They rise, but you don't have to sink with them. Next time you feel anger, hurt, or panic, pause. Ask, what is this emotion? Where is it coming from? What is it asking of me? When you name the feeling, it no longer controls you. 2. Delay your response so you don't regret it. When you want to yell, stay quiet. When you want to lash out, breathe. Just 6 seconds. Neuroscience says that's enough time for emotional waves to settle and for your reason to return. You don't need to react fast. You just need to react right. 3. Turn emotion into fuel. Emotions aren't bad. They are signals. Anger can be a sign your boundaries are being crossed. Sadness can remind you of what truly matters. A Stoic doesn't avoid emotion. They transform it into motivation. As Seneca said, if you cannot control the situation, control yourself. There, within you, is where freedom lives. Imagine this. You're in a heated argument. The other person shouts, insulting you. You have 2 choices. React instinctively, shout back, lose control, let anger destroy everything. Or pause, look at them with clarity and steadiness. Say, I choose not to let your words affect my peace, and walk away, free. In that moment, you didn't just master your emotions. You mastered your life. Calm in chaos isn't a gift. It's a skill, a discipline, and it starts inside you. The more you train it, the less the outside world can hurt you. The more freedom you gain to choose your path, your reactions, your life. No longer a victim of emotion, you become the guide. And when you're calm enough not to be controlled by emotions, you'll realize inner freedom is not an illusion. It's a power, and it's already in your hands. Letting go of what you can't control, the art of releasing to be free. There are things in life we always want to hold on to. A person who no longer loves us. An opportunity that has already passed. A sentence that pierced our heart for years. Or a future scenario that hasn't happened, but already tightens our chest. We cling to all of it, as if letting go means losing ourselves. But perhaps what's really causing us to lose ourselves is trying to control what was never in our control. We are bound by the illusion of control. Have you ever felt this? Trying to change someone, only to feel disappointed. Worrying constantly about something that might happen, but never does. Feeling angry because someone didn't behave as you expected, and you end up suffering. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Just one short sentence. But if you truly absorb it, your inner world will no longer be a place of restlessness. Letting go is not surrender. Letting go is liberation. You don't need to. Try to understand why someone left. Try to fix the past. Try to please everyone. Imagine carrying a backpack. Every uncontrollable thing you hold on to is a rock. The more you carry, the heavier it gets. The harder it is to move forward. Letting go is not because you don't care. It's because you deserve to be free. A simple but powerful Stoic practice. Take a sheet of paper and draw 2 columns. Column 1, things you're worried about, suffering from, or trying to control. Column 2, mark whether each is within your control. Then, circle the things you can control. Your attitude, your actions, your choices, and cross out the rest. From now on, you don't have to carry everything. Let what doesn't belong to you fall away. A small story with a big lesson. There once lived an old Zen master in a remote mountain village. One day, villagers accused him of fathering a young girl's child. He calmly replied, "Is that so?" He raised the child for years, without complaint. One day, the girl confessed the truth. It wasn't his child. The villagers returned to apologize. He smiled gently and replied again, "Is that so?" He never tried to change their thoughts, never fought against misunderstanding. He simply kept his peace and his freedom. The more you let go, the lighter you become. The lighter you are, the freer you move. Letting go of what you can't control is not loss. It's the journey back to deep peace within. It's the moment when you no longer let others define you. You realize happiness doesn't come from outside. It comes from how you choose to respond within. And from now on, remember, not everything needs to be controlled. Not everything needs to be explained. Not everyone needs to understand you. As long as you understand yourself, the power of silence, when you don't need to speak to be heard, there are moments when words lose their weight. And it's precisely in the silence you choose that others begin to truly listen. Silence is not avoidance. Silence is a conscious choice, an invisible strength that only those with inner mastery can wield. When you stay silent, you're not losing, you're winning. Have you ever found yourself trapped in a never-ending argument, where everyone is waiting to respond, not to listen, where emotions burn and reason gets buried, and in the end, all you feel is exhaustion and emptiness? In moments like that, choosing silence doesn't make you weak. It is the highest form of self-control. Seneca once said, "In anger, we often speak words that sober minds regret. One sentence said in rage can destroy a relationship. One impulsive reaction can ruin your reputation, trust, and even your sense of self. But if you know how to pause, to swallow your anger like a cup of hot water, you preserve something far more valuable, your inner freedom, a short, real story, and one worth contemplating." A famous scholar visited a Zen master. He spoke endlessly about philosophy, knowledge, and his experiences. The master quietly poured him tea until it overflowed. The scholar shouted, "Master, the tea is spilling." The master smiled. "So are you, overflowing with words. How can I pour anything more into your cup?" The stronger a person is within, the less they speak, because they know not everything requires a reaction. You don't need to speak up in every injustice. You don't need to defend yourself against every criticism. You don't need to prove yourself to everyone, because truth doesn't need to be shouted. It just needs to be lived. Silence is not escape. It's the space where your mind heals, your emotions settle, and your intuition is finally heard. In silence, you hear your real voice. You know what to hold on to and what to release. You stop clinging to praise or judgment and rise above the noise. That's where inner freedom begins. Practice the art of silence. When attacked, take a deep breath and count to 5 before reacting. When hurt, write it down instead of arguing. When confused, find a quiet place. Turn off your phone and just sit with yourself. In that moment, you don't just avoid conflict, you reclaim a part of yourself that had been forgotten, peace. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have the right to remain silent, and that is the highest form of freedom. Don't lose it over a provoking word. Don't let anyone steal your stillness with their noise. Remember, the strong don't need to speak much. The free don't need to prove anything. And when you walk through the door of silence, you'll realize what's truly worth keeping has always been within you. Stillness in chaos. When the world loses control, you still hold onto yourself. Have you ever felt like the world keeps pulling you along, spinning you inside its whirlwind? Bad news, deadlines piling up, sudden criticism, urgent demands from others crashing down. And all you want to do is scream, "Just give me one quiet moment." But you can't silence the world. You can't command life to pause. You can't stop the unexpected from happening. So what can you hold on to? Just one thing: how you respond. Stoicism doesn't teach you to control the world. It teaches you to control yourself within a world that can't be controlled. You can't stop the rain, but you can wear a raincoat. You can't stop the crowds, but you can slow your pace and not let your heart be swept away. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, You can remain calm in chaos if you learn to return inward. Imagine your mind as a still lake. Every external event, words, actions, the uncontrollable, are stones tossed into the water. If you let reaction rule, your lake will always ripple with waves. But if you know how to wait, how to stay still, everything eventually settles, and the water becomes clear again. The truth is, you don't need to react to everything. You have the power to choose what reaches your inner space. A cruel remark is not a reason to lose your composure. A sudden situation is not an excuse to lose yourself. And a bad day doesn't mean you have a bad life. Here's a story. A warrior was trained to fight in any condition, but the first thing his master taught him wasn't technique. It was, before you draw your sword, breathe. Because often, what defeats us isn't the enemy. It's ourselves. When we don't master our emotions, today's battleground is no longer drenched in blood. It's filled with emotional storms, anxiety, news, and endless expectations. And the true warrior is not the fastest to react, but the one who keeps a steady mind and a strong heart. So how do you keep stillness in the chaos? Step out of the storm. An afternoon without social media, a morning without the news. Listen to your breath instead of the noise. Ask yourself, is this worth losing my calm over? Will this matter a week from now? A month? Choose what truly deserves your attention. Not every call needs an answer. Not every issue needs your worry. Stillness is a choice. When you can stay still in a noisy world, you're not just avoiding the chaos. You become a calming anchor for yourself and others. And you'll realize something profound. Freedom isn't when the world is quiet. It's when your mind is no longer shaken by it. Remember, the louder the world gets, the wiser ones stay silent. The more out of control life becomes, the stronger ones stay centered. You can't master every circumstance, but you can always master yourself. And that is the first step toward a life of true inner freedom. Thank you for reaching the final part of this journey. But don't stop here. Turn inward and begin the real path, a path of resilience, of stillness, and of freedom.